Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Jorge Espinoza. Welcome to the graded activity number 5 of language testing. Today, we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic. My name is Jorge Espinoza, and thank you for joining me. So let's get started right away. Like I mentioned before, we're going to be talking about the principles of language assessment, okay? So before I address what are the principles of language assessment, I would like to explain a little bit about the relationship between teaching assessment and a test. Let's talk about what a test is, okay? So a test are prepared administrative procedures that occur at identifiable times in a curriculum when learners master all their faculties to offer their peak performance, knowing that the responses are being measured or evaluated, whereas an assessment is an ongoing process that encompasses a much more wider domain. Whenever a student responds to a question, offers a comment, or tries out a new word structure, the teacher subconsciously makes an assessment of the student's performance. For example, let's talk about reading work. From a small piece of paper, a small phrase that the student can write to a full essay, okay? That's how the assessment is done. One of the things that I want to highlight is that a good teacher never ceases to assess the students whether those assessments are incidental or intended, okay? So that's the relationship between teaching assessment and a test. All right. Now, having said that, I wanted to share what's one of the quotes that one of the authors wrote about what assessment is. Brown, he says that assessment is a component of teaching and activities. Teachers can get information about their students and their achievement. Teacher can detect the strengths and weaknesses. Tests play a crucial role in assessment, and a good test is constructed by considering the principles of language assessment. But what are those principles of language assessment? The principles of language assessment are, we have practicality, we have reliability, validity, authenticity, and washback. So let's know a little bit more about each one of them. What's practicality? Practicality is known as administrative issues involving making, giving, and scoring an assessment instrument needed to be factored into the testing and assessment process. Relationship between available resources for the test, such as human and material resources, time in which will be required in the design, development, and the use of a test. Brown defines practicality in the terms of cost, time, administration, and evaluation. Reliable. A test is reliable when it's consistent and dependable. Also, it refers to the consistency of the scores obtained. It does not deal with the test itself, it deals with the results of the test. The test results should be consistent. Reliability falls into 4 kinds, according to Brown. Student-related reliability, writer reliability, test administration reliability, and test reliability. Let's know a little bit about each one of them. A student-related reliability refers to temporary illness, fatigue, a bad day, anxiety, and other physical and psychological factors of the students. Writer reliability refers to the scoring process, factors that can affect the reliability, such as human error, subjectivity, and bias in the scoring process. Test administration reliability concerns with the condition and situation in which a test is administered. And test reliability, if the test fits into a time constraint, it should not be too long or short. Also, it should be clear and not ambiguity. Now let's talk about validity. Validity has to look to other testers, teachers, moderators, and students if it measures what it is supposed to measure, according to Hedon 1990. Validity. There are 4 types of evidence of a test's validity, which together ensure the validity of the test, and these ones are. We have content-related evidence, consequential validity or face validity, constructed-related evidence, and criterion-related evidence. Validity have to consider the test has to be well-constructed, expected format, with familiar tasks. Tests have to be doable within the appropriate time limit. The items have to be clear and uncomplicated. The directions have to be clear, and the difficulty level has to be present to a reasonable challenge. With these considerations, the student will be more confident, optimistic, and less anxious and worried. Now, let's talk about authenticity. An authentic test contains language that is natural as possible, in which offers tasks that replicate real-world tasks, okay? Teachers should construct a test with the test items that are likely to be used or applied in the real context of daily life. When it comes to authenticity, according to Brown, he proposes that the language in the test is natural as possible, items are contextualized, topics are meaningful to the learners, and tasks represent real-world tasks. Now let's talk about washback. Washback, this principle refers to the effects that tests have on instruction in terms of how students prepare for the test. They should provide positive feedback to be more formative, natural than summative. Brown refers to the influence of testing on teaching and learning. It can be positive or negative. Let's talk about positive washback. Teachers and students have a positive attitude towards examination or a test and work willingly and collaboratively towards its objective, okay? And whereas the negative washback, it means that the test does not give any beneficial influence on teaching and learning. Okay, now I'm going to present you the following situation. A high school biology teacher frequently reads aloud prepared biology-related statement. Then he asks students to hold their hands under their chins and signify whether the statement is true or false by showing a thumbs up for true and thumbs down for false. Depending on the number of students who are responding correctly, the teacher may have students present arguments for both sides. He may pair students to ask them to discuss the concept further, or he may decide that he needs to present the same concept using different representation or instructional approach. So now I'm going to present you my analysis regarding this case, okay? If we apply the principles of language assessment, let's see each one of them and its characteristics in the analysis. As far as practicality, this activity does not specify limits and directions. The uses of human resources are ambiguous and there are no other resources. The teacher does not explain the scoring. Okay, so that would be as far as practicality. Readability, in this case, the students have clear directions. However, the teacher does not mention the use of a rubric. This activity does not specify limits and directions. The use of human resources is ambiguous and there's no other resources. The teacher does not explain the scoring. As far as validity, in this activity, teachers explain the directions that he's going to measure. Also, this activity considers a topic which they have learned and the teacher have analyzed their performance. Finally, with this information, the teacher can feedback the students. As far as authenticity, in this case, the language is familiar, natural, and organized information to the students. Also, the activity is contextualized with the topics. And as far as washback, students will be positively influenced because the teacher can give them immediate feedback. In addition, students work in pairs on a familiar topic. Okay, so it's been a pleasure to be with you today. I look forward to seeing the next video. I hope you like my presentation. Have yourselves a great day. Bye for now.